Welcome to the first day of the Lora Sewalong. You'll see here that I already have my pattern pieces cut, my fabric all cut out and marked. I also have all of my interfacing fused to my pattern pieces. This is an intermediate pattern, so we're kind of assuming that you already know how to do these things. If you don't, you can go ahead and look back at some of our earlier sew-alongs like the Ogden cami, and that will definitely show you how to go through those steps. And then you can come back to here and start sewing along with us. I'm going to be sewing up two views of the Lora dress during the sew along, both for my daughter. I'll be sewing up view A in that really pretty cotton batik fabric that's kind of the pinky peach on the right, and then I'll also be sewing up view B, which is the sleeved version, in a kind of purpley gray rayon crepe. For both of the views, I'm using a cotton lawn in that light pink color as for my linings, for the front facing, for the sleeve casing. This just gives a little bit more stability, especially to the rayon crepe view that I'm sewing. Also, I just thought it would be visually easier for the sew along for you to be able to differentiate really easily between the lining pieces and the main pieces. If you haven't done this already, make sure you have fused your fusible interfacing to the wrong side of the pattern pieces that you need to. This includes the front facing, the front bodice, the back bodice, the front bodice lining, the back bodice lining, also the button shield. Also make sure that you have marked all of your dots, also your darts. I like to do this just with a washable Crayola marker, but do this with whatever marking tool that you like the best, and be sure to test it before you use it on your nice fabric. Okay, now that we've done all the preparation work, we get to start sewing. So we are going to start by sewing the darts. Here I am starting with the back skirt. You can start with the front skirt pieces, it doesn't matter, it's the same process for both. So you're going to start by just folding your skirt in half along the dart markings, right sides touching. You're going to line the dart legs where they're marked and make sure that the point or the apex of your dart is on the fold. So go ahead and put a few pins in that to secure, and then we're going to go over to our sewing machine. We'll start by back stitching at the top and stitching down to about a ½ inch or 1 inch of the dart point. At that point, you're going to reduce your stitch length down to a small stitch length, and that just really helps secure your dart. So I usually bring that down to about 1 millimeter, and you're going to continue stitching all the way off the end. You do not back stitch at the end. Instead, you leave long thread tails, and then you are going to knot those at the very end. Just remember that whatever you do for the back skirt, you're going to also do for the front skirt. So you're going to go ahead and sew those darts in the exact same way. Now the last thing that we need to do for our darts, but before we can move on, is just to press them. So you're going to press the excess of the dart towards the center back or the center front. Now that those darts are finished, we want to go ahead and stabilize those top edges of our skirt by stay stitching them. We're going to do that at 3/8 of an inch from the edge, so just inside that ½ inch seam allowance. And like we said, that's just going to keep those areas from stretching out as we continue to sew together this dress. So with those darts finished and the stay stitching done, we are going to attach the front and back skirts together. So go ahead and lay out your back skirt right side up, and then you're going to take the coordinating front skirt piece and you're going to lay it down so that right sides are touching, and then you're just going to pin along that long edge. Once those are pinned, we're going to go over to our sewing machine and we are going to stitch it at a normal ½ inch seam allowance. Now with that stitch, now we need to finish that seam allowance. You can do this in a few different ways. I'm going to be serging it, but you could also use pinking shears, you could zigzag stitch it, whatever you prefer. Okay, we're almost done for today. The last thing that we need to do is just press these seams. Now, since I serged it, I'm going to press all of the seam allowances towards the back skirt. If you use pinking shears, you might want to go ahead and just press all of those seam allowances open. And that's it for today. Pretty simple day. Now our skirt is pretty much finished. We can kind of set that aside. Tomorrow we will start off by sewing up the first parts of our bodice.